Power BI is a lush product that has changed how we think of data today, and because of that, changed the way we do business. Before I can create a dashboard or a report, for example, something like this, I need to have some data. So that's where we should begin. From the home screen, you can click Get Data. There are many different ways we can get data into Power BI. You can create a Power BI dataset using the Create link, but normally we will either discover content that was posted by our organization, choose data from online services, bring in files, and that would be a CSV file or comma-separated value file, an Excel workbook that contains data, or a file that you saved using the Windows Power BI desktop. You can also connect to databases directly from here. If we scroll down, you'll also see a link in the lower left-hand corner to Samples. When I click the Samples link, it opens up a series of different samples that are available, and I'm going to open the Human Resources samples so we can use it to learn about Power BI. Click the Connect link here to begin to open and import the data. Each of the samples includes more than just data. However, it also includes reports and associated dashboards, and all of those items coming together. So when you're starting with Power BI, the samples are really a nice place to begin. So I'm going to expand my workspace and scroll down to the Human Resources sample dashboard. And this is what it looks like. The dashboards consist of tiles. Each tile is a visualization from a report so that we can see how many new hires we had year over year. Bad hires as a percent of actives, for example. Each of these tiles provides a lot of information about our data, and by viewing these tiles in a dashboard. Or if we were to scroll down and open the Report Human Resources sample, we would see a multi-page report that some of these tiles came from. Whether we're viewing tiles in a dashboard or visualizations and report, we get additional insights about what's happening in this case in our organization in the HR department. Finally, if I wish I could create a new report from a published data set, and the published data here is Human Resources sample. If I do that, it creates a new report, and here is the canvas where we will add visualizations and create our first report in the Power BI service. We're going to create a couple of visualizations in our report. Let's take a quick tour first. On the left, we have our navigation pane, and I'm going to hide it to win some more room back for my canvas. I don't need to look at filters right now, so I will collapse that as well. And now I have some space. Reports can be multi-page. We have page tabs at the bottom. You can easily add new page. You can rename a page the same way you'd rename a sheet tab in Excel. On the right in our fields, we have the tables that are included in this sample. Each of these tables has one or more fields. For example, the age groups table has only age group. The business units table has the region and who the vice president is. If I look at the employees table, I have a long list, and this list was actually created for reporting. When you see the small calculator here, you know that the person who designed this data set created these measures. They're called explicit measures, and so they include calculations that we can then use for reporting. We also have some measures that can be created by Power BI. This is called an implicit measure, and it's simply a summary field. But if we look at date, what we'll see is that when we work with dates in Power BI, we bring in a date, and Power BI then extracts information from other fields, the day, the month, the period, the quarter, and the year. That's pretty slick. If you want to use just the date, use date. But if you want to do a report based on month, this makes it easy. To create a visualization, we simply begin by choosing some data. I'm going to click Business Units to open it up, and I'm going to choose Region, and Power BI very quickly will create a list of region names using a type of visualization called Table. I know that the table is being used because there's a frame around it. Now I'm going to find out how many active employees we have. And if you don't have enough space to be able to view all your field names, just slide the left edge of the fields pane and give yourself a little more space so that you can actually see, for example, that the first field is active employee count. I'm going to click there. I can give this more room, but notice is when I deal with a chart object in Excel, simply giving it more room doesn't necessarily make the print bigger. We'll come back to that in a bit. If I want to change the visualization type while the visualization selected, I simply choose a different type. So now I have a bar chart, a column chart, a tree map, which is actually one of my favorite visualizations. It's a lot like a pie chart, but many people find it difficult to compare the size of circles and portions of circles like wedges. The tree map gives us boxes which tend to be easier to compare. I have formatting tools, so if I go back to my table, I can click on the formatting tool in visualizations. This shows me the size of my alt text, and if I wanted to take a look for example of values, I'll find that my values are a 10-point font, and if I want to increase the size of my values, I can do that right here. There are a lot of other formatting choices that we can make, including conditional formatting, which is beyond our scope. If I wanted to create another visualization based on this visualization, I can actually copy this visual and click elsewhere in this page of my report or a different page and Control-V to paste, and I'll actually have now 2 of these. And in that way, I can modify this one to say, I'm actually not interested in region here. I would like to know about my active employee count by age group. And there's my age group. And I'm going to simply present that as a tree map. Perhaps I would like to have a third visualization, not a copy of the others. So I'll click into Canvas because if I have a visualization selected and I make choices, I'm changing this visualization, but click into Canvas first. And then what I want to choose is still active employees. I get a column chart, and I'd like to know the active employees by pay types: hourly or salaried. Even when I have my tables collapsed, if I click on a visualization, I can see what tables are contributing fields to this particular visualization. To create a visualization, all I need to do is decide what I would like to see and then choose the fields. Or begin by choosing the visualization and then adding data. One of the features that makes reports so powerful is filtering automatically. The visualizations that are on a page filter each other. For example, if I choose salary employees here, note that my active employee count has been modified to only reflect salaried employees. And my chart still shows all of the employees. For example, the age group 50 plus has 9,398 employees, but only 1,138 of them are highlighted if I change this visualization into. For example, a bar chart visualization. And then make the same choices. Notice how the cross-filtering is applied. You can turn off cross-filtering for specific visualizations if you wish, but what we're seeing here is the default behavior, which we didn't have to do anything to invoke. If I want to turn off a filter once it's applied, I can simply click back on the same filter. Another way that I can allow my users to interact with data is using Q&A. I'm going to click Q&A and it will drop a new visualization into the page of my report, and I'll size it so that it doesn't have a scroll bar anymore, and it says ask a question about your data. Try one of these to get started. What is the average age by region? What is the new hire count by region? I'm actually interested in that. So if I click here, the result is visualization. So note that my users can create new visualizations on apply, but they can also simply type information in the Q&A box. So perhaps a user might want to know employees by employment type. So as I start typing employees, it offers up employees by employment type. And here are part-time and full-time employees. 1014. And if I wish, then I can choose a different type of visualization, for example, a pie or a tree map or stack bar. But the Q&A feature allows me to quickly create brand new visualizations, and if I add Q&A to my report, then others can use it as well, and you have the ability as the report designer to seed other questions. So there are a list of suggestions. What is the separation count by region? Average, bad, higher count, but this is customizable. So you can provide other suggestions, and you can also provide no suggestions simply by turning the suggestions off. Filters, cross-filtering, and Q&A provide meaningful interactions for our users with Power BI. This is a great time to save our report. Simply click Save, enter a name for it. My HR Employee Report. And save it. That report will then be available to you in Power BI, in your Workspace, and in your list of active reports. After I save my report, I end up in Reading View, which allows other users to interact with it, but not in a design mode. To get back to the editor, I would actually choose Edit here. All of these visualizations have something in common. What they have in common is they share the fields list. It appears in the fields pane, but sometimes I want to be able to report on information that comes from more than one type of data. Let's imagine, for example, that we create a summary for our executives. Every department is encouraged to submit up to 3 visualizations that they think best represents how their department's work should be measured. So I would include visualizations for my HR employee report, but the IT department would have visualizations, the finance department would have visualizations. I can't put them all in one report because it's multiple data sets. Don't worry, we don't need to create a data set. That encompasses everything. Because in Power BI, when we want to present visualizations from multiple reports, and therefore often from different data sets, we create a dashboard. To create a dashboard, we take a visualization, for example, this visualization, and notice that the small toolbar that opens has a pin button on it. I'm going to pin this visual, and I'm asked where I want to pin it, and this is what I would be pinning. I'm going to put in a new dashboard, and I'm going to call the new dashboard exec summary. And we'll just leave that. It says I can create a mobile layout, or I can go directly to my dashboard here. Let's add a couple more visualizations before we do either of those things. I'm going to pin this visualization to an existing dashboard now, and that existing dashboard is called Exec Summary. And finally, I'll take my third visualization and pin it again to Exec Summary. Countries populations comes up first because it's first in alphabetical order. Something to remember when you're naming your dashboards. And I'm going to pin this. One more thought before we do anything else is that I can pin this entire page to a dashboard, the entire report page. And if I do this is what it looks like, and it's called a live page. And with a live page, whenever the reports are updated, this dashboard page will also be updated. I've gotten rid of that nice dialogue that would have taken me directly to my dashboard, but I'm going to go to my workspace and look at my content, which is in alphabetical order. And here's my exec summary. So I'm going to simply click on it to open it. And this is my dashboard. Dashboards automatically have a built-in Q&A that's added here at the top. You can remove it if you wish, but it's usually a good thing to have there. If this is the dashboard I want to see all the time, I can set it as my feature dashboard, and I'll view it every time I fire up over Power BI, which is a good way to be able to track metrics, or KPIs that I'm in charge of. If I click on any of these tiles, which were pinned visualizations from my report, I actually get taken back to the report, so I can see them in place which is pretty slick. And if I want to favorite this dashboard, I can do that right here. Other options, I can add a tile to this dashboard, change its theme, or create a mobile layout. This layout wouldn't look great on a mobile phone, but here's the form factor for a mobile phone, and I could decide that what I really want to show is my active employee count. My active employee count by age, so I can unpin this. It's now hidden, and I can give this tile more space so it actually displays everything I need it to display. This then is my mobile layout, and this is my web layout. Notice that my mobile layout does not include the Q&A. And remember that in this demonstration, all of the tiles are coming from one report. But one of the primary reasons to create a Power BI dashboard is to include tiles that are visions from different reports.